as we assembled the press and did the press conference, they were really crowding in. It was quite the hostile environment. And so much so that and it wasn't subtle at all, I will tell you. They just kept getting closer and closer and closer and trying to follow us, really. We were there to have a press conference to say, this is what we're trying to do, and we want to speak with the governor. We ended up getting into the office area of the governor with the secretary and receptionist. It's not a large room, and they filled it up, and they crowded us, and they had signs, and they were yelling very derogatory things at myself, Judge Doyle, who was there, and some other women who were there who had been affected by the laws and felt like they would be adversely affected in the future. So very peaceful, we just wanted to be heard. So here they are bullying and harassing a group of professionals and, peaceful people wanting an opportunity to have a press conference and talk to the governor about our opinion on the law and why we think he should veto it. And it was just, it's a very hot topic that, unfortunately, I think they were really dealing very emotionally. And that occurred to me at that time, that there are so many women affected by this. And if that's on their other side, those are their ex-husbands, that's how they treat them, that they need more advocates to stand up for them, because I don't blame them for being bullied and scared if those are the men they're dealing with when they're trying to stick up for themselves to get the support that they need under the laws.
The other side brought men out of Alabama and Georgia to the governor's office with us. They brought their boombox, and for an hour, and they played music, they yelled at us, they called us names. It was awful. And one of the young guys, and he had a record. He had been incarcerated twice for drug and assault. They hired him to come there and disrupt our media conference with the governor's staff.
When we were in the lobby of the governor's office waiting for somebody to come answer the door, the people there to protest our being there were surrounding us and yelling and trying to demean the women and me. They all knew I was a judge because they had heard the presentation out in the lobby, or that I was a retired judge, and this one guy in particular kept coming around and trying to speak to individual women, and so I moved myself back, although I was one of the people supposed to talk to the governor up at the door. I moved myself to the back of the crowd of women, and whenever he would try to approach one of the women, I would just move to stand with my back to him, and between him and the woman he was trying to approach, and I turned just over my shoulder once. I said, leave her alone. And he said, I only want to talk to her. Now, that's a typical domestic violence statement. I've heard it many times in domestic violence cases. And I said, she doesn't want to talk to you. And he said, well, I'm not touching her. And I said, but you're touching me, and you do not have my permission. And he just turned around and walked out. I didn't leave the whole place, but he made sure he was not having contact with me anymore. But that's the way they were. I was concerned that somebody's going to hit me in the back of the head or something. And these women, they were brave women in there, listening to all of this abusive chanting and yelling. And that's the kind of opposition that we get from the first husbands groups and the men's rights groups and the second wives groups. That's the nature of it.